Hi, and welcome back to Food Farms and Chefs. I am very happy to be able to introduce you to Kyle Algaze, who is the owner of Iron Rooster. And you have several locations. But Kyle, thank you for joining us on Food Farms and Chefs.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is a pleasure.
I always do a little bit of research on everyone, and I didn't have too much time to research you. Because unfortunately my co-host was supposed to lead you, but how did you get started in this business? Did you go to school
Ooh.
to for hospitality and business management?
Um, so I did not go to school for hospitality and business management. I was an elementary education major, and I'm sure that there's some part of me that has used that part of my life in this industry. But I started in the restaurant business when I was 17. I might have even told a fib about being 18 to get a job, but we won't. Hopefully, nobody goes back that far. I've really just cut my teeth in working in restaurants for a number of years, and like most people, I got out of the industry hoping to get a quote unquote real job at some point, thinking that there was a future to go into something different, but was lucky enough after several years of kind of floating around to figure out that this was my calling, and I was trying to probably deny it for many years and realize that I really enjoyed hospitality. I really enjoyed the restaurant business, and it's kind of now in my blood. So you're going back, I don't know, maybe 22, 23 years now at this point. So yeah, it's been quite a run, but I've been doing this for a long time now.
So what was the caveat that, made you lean towards opening up the Iron Rooster? Because I know you opened it in 2014, your first location.
Right. Yeah. So 2014 was the original Iron Rooster opened in Annapolis, Maryland. Um, to answer your question, I think I'm stubborn and don't like to be told no. So I had gotten an opportunity. Well, I shouldn't say I got an opportunity. I realized that in order for me to kind of maximize where I thought I wanted to be, I thought I need to open up uh, a restaurant on my own. And naively went around to people that I knew that had done it and said, thinking about opening up a restaurant. What are your thoughts? And every single person that I talked to said, don't do it. It's tough. It's a hard business. Should just keep doing what you're doing. And I was kind of like, screw you. I'm going to do what I want. And now I get people that come to me and say, I want to open up my own restaurant. And I say, don't do it. It's the hardest business. So they were definitely right, in that sense. But I really kind of didn't like to be told no, and I think that was kind of the catalyst for me of just sort of pushing on and trudging on. And everyone that I've spoken to in this industry kind of has the same story, which is put your head down, work hard. It's not you're not gonna it's a marathon, not a sprint. You're not gonna see the fruits of your labor right off the bat, and no one that gets into this for any success is really kind of looking for the sit at a table and be served. It's more like put your head in it, make sure that you're motivating people to work hard and doing the same thing yourself.
Yeah, because I know I have obviously from doing interviews throughout the years I've met and befriended. My phone is full of chefs as friends now, but I know that it's very like slim, that margin of financial gain from owning businesses. But you actually were able to, create something that was hugely successful and, like opened up several locations in Maryland, and I think you have a location in DC too,
Hopefully by the time this comes out, we will be pretty close to DC. So yeah.
which is, a, the foot traffic you can get from DC is just you're going to be busy all the time, or that location, I should say.
Yeah.
But I want to also mention the fact that you did, fight during the pandemic to stay open, and you had to pivot like most owners and that have restaurants, but you had a leg up that created something a little bit more integral for your positioning on, the methodologies of what went into legislation for rules and regulations, because I think you sat on the board of directors for Maryland for the Restaurant Association.
Correct. Um, I did, and I do. It was, if it's hard to remember back, just even a couple of years ago, just for all the things that everybody's been through at this point. But you know, I think one of the things that sort of served us during the pandemic was that we had a lot of people, and so that was very helpful. That even though we were going to have to reduce the amount of people that we were going to be able to employ at the time, and was probably, I can't even say probably, it was the scariest time of my professional life when it came to what was going to happen the next day. As quickly as everything shut down, there was no end in sight about how things were going to open back up, and no one was giving any advice, restaurant association or otherwise. Everybody was playing by the same rules, and everybody was trying to figure it out themselves. And I think what we did first and foremost was that we went to sort of our key players, our key, stakeholders, if you will, in our operations, and said, we'll protect you as best we can. We just need to know that you're going to be there. And I can't say enough about the people that we have, the people just in this industry alone that decided to stick with it. A lot of people got out of the industry during the pandemic because there was no place for them to go. For a lot of the service staff and a lot of the hourly employees, there was really no place for them to go, so they had to go find other employment. And we just went to our key people and said, we've got your back. Do you have ours? And they said yes. And that's paid dividends even now. A couple of years later, here we are. And a lot of those people are still here. A lot of those people are now thriving. A lot of those people have made themselves into, a higher level manager, or running their own shop at this point. So that was kind of the real goal there. But I mean, scary as could be. It was frightening.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm now going to circle back into your restaurants as they are currently. Because you do offer a wide variety of comfort foods, but I was looking at the fact that you offer Pop Tarts, and like they're stuffed, like fully stuffed. So our listeners obviously tune in for a variety of reasons, but let's jump into some of the items that you actually offer,
Yeah,
that bring people in and have continued that support system for all of your staff and for your locations.
sure. We're a breakfast all day restaurant, and we were kind of, I always like to say that we got into breakfast all day before McDonald's did. So I'm not really sure if they were kind of, watching us and deciding that they were gonna go that route too. I like to think that. I don't necessarily believe it, but I think it. Breakfast is that habitual meal period that people, they usually eat the same things. I found over several years of doing this, that you wake up, you kind of have your cereal, your eggs, and you like your eggs a certain way. And I had always had this thought and idea of, why not take kind of breakfast food and make it different, make it better, make it something that you would want to cook at home if you could, but obviously, for not having a commercial kitchen at your disposal, and looking at kind of how ordering patterns were happening over the course of several years, and seeing that people really did enjoy independent restaurants a lot more now. They didn't like the food service side of this. They really wanted to see somebody in the back making their food, and they wanted to try different things. And I kind of put all of those things together. And although not the creator of the Pop Tart, and we don't call them Pop Tarts, we call them Roostarts,
Oh, okay, sorry.
for for numbers of legal reasons.
Yes.
And uh, but it was to take food that you recognized and tried to make it bigger and better. Our portion sizes are not for the faint of heart. We're nobody's dietitian, I tell people. So you're going to get big portions of things, and hopefully it's created value as well. Is that you feel like the food's bigger than you'll get in a lot of restaurants, and you find the value in the sense that, hey, I've got a meal for a day or two. And kind of seeing just where people were really kind of heading. And so, we have a lot of fried chicken. We do fried chicken and waffles, and fried chicken and pancakes, and fried chicken and French toast. We kind of put fried chicken on everything.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, try to keep some of the staples that people associate with breakfast, biscuits and gravy, just a regular 2 egg breakfast, however you want your eggs cooked, but allow for people that kind of wanted something different and not really just kind of the same old oatmeal or the same old, run of the mill egg breakfast, to be able to kind of go outside of their comfort zone a little bit. And some things have really, really kind of caught on. And um, I've always, when I write menus, I always try to look for things that people would identify with, but maybe not really um, think, oh, wow, I'd put those things together. So, like, we do these really cool breakfast nachos, which is scrambled eggs and sausage and bacon, and we make a queso gravy over the top of it. And it's got guacamole on it. So you can get, nachos at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And then we did waffle churros, which I'm super proud of, because I was trying to think of a way to do churros one day. And I thought, well, I got a waffle maker, and I think I can do something similar to a churro with the waffle. And sure enough, it worked. And it's one of the top sellers that we put out every day. And so that's kind of the motivation behind the concept, and really kind of I'm always looking ahead and trying to figure out, okay, well, what are the next things that people are going to kind of identify with, or what are the next, menu items that people are starting to see kind of come about, and how can we kind of, use our little niche to use those things to give people something different.
Yeah. And speaking of something different, I have to say, like, in one of the interviews that I either read about or watched you in, you had mentioned the fact that you have happy hour in the morning, and you gave a nod to the nurses. I used to be a vet tech, an overnight vet tech, and one of the things that we would always do is we would go to the one diner that offered cocktails, so long as you knew them. Um, that were not just a mimosa or a Bloody Mary. So, do you still offer that happy hour in the morning?
We do every day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 10. And how it kind of came about was there was a couple of nurses sitting one day at the bar, and this was 7:30 in the morning, and uh, my first question was, "Are you starting, or are you finishing?" And I was a little bit worried if they were starting, because you know to see to see.
You don't want them
Uh,
going to work like that.
I I wasn't gonna judge them, but I wasn't gonna hopefully go to that hospital if that's where they were. And they said, "Oh, no, no, we're just getting done." And I thought, well, this is interesting. Here they are, they're getting done. There's no real place that's open. And they said, well, we come here because this is our nighttime.
Yep.
And I thought, that's exactly right. This is your nighttime. And they said, we have no place for us to go when it's 7 in the morning, and every other place is closed, and normal happy hours and most restaurants will start at, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, to get kind of that after work traffic. And I thought, well, there's no place for them. And so I said, I got you. I said, so here's what we'll do. And it kind of was born out of that idea of just seeing people that were coming in. And then sure enough, I'm in our Canton location right now, which is, I would say, within 3 miles of probably 5 hospitals. There's plenty of hospitals in downtown Baltimore, and you could come in here on a Tuesday or Wednesday morning at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and the place is just full of staff that works in the hospitals, and it's nurses, it's doctors, it's just the regular staff. And I I'm really proud of that idea, because I knew that there was a market for it, but also too is that it was getting to take care of them. I knew that they were going to need some place, and I thought, well, we can be that place for you in the morning. And we're one of the only restaurants that's really kind of up at this hour doing these types of things. And I thought, well, now they've got a place to go, and we do a couple cool things, with the hospital staff, where we've done something called a sugar rush, where we'll just show up at emergency rooms and just drop off Roostarts and coffee. And we don't tell them, it's unannounced, and we don't really put much up about it, other than to just say, thank you, especially over the last several years, thank you for taking care of us.
Yeah.
And anything that we can kind of do to take care of them is kind of the goal.
That is very cool. So, I mean, as we move forward, you had mentioned that you're, looking to open up a DC or a location that's close to DC. How can we help you celebrate that? How can our listeners come out and, celebrate it with you, and do you offer any specials?
So besides the happy hour, we're always running different specials when it comes to our menu. We change the menu a couple of times a year, typically seasonal. So we'll do one in the spring, summer, and one in the fall, winter. Um, from a support perspective, eh, whenever anyone's in town, we've got 4 locations. Hopefully, the fifth one will be open here shortly. And just the idea of kind of coming in and celebrating breakfast is kind of one of those neat brunch especially is one of those neat meal periods where it's really a get together. Dinner is kind of that I got to get dinner after work or I got to get dinner, I just worked a long day. What am I eating today? And obviously there's so many restaurants out there now. And when I was a kid, going out to eat was always a big deal. But really to go out to breakfast, it's kind of difficult. You'd really kind of go to the chains that were out there and, celebrate with pancakes or waffles. And then it was kind of it. And so for us, it just thought, well, we can really blow this up by doing something that really appeals to a lot of different segments, whether it's families or people that are out on a first date. A brunch is always a great first date to kind of get during the day, and mimosas and bloodies, and we make we have a lot of signature cocktails, iron crushes, and things along that line. So from a supportive perspective, yeah, any of those times really can be something interesting and different for any of your listeners to come in and see us. We're always excited to see new people. We're pretty far reaching at this point. We've got people that I had a guest of mine say that he was sitting in a hot tub in Hawaii one time, and the guy knew that he was from Maryland, and he said, "Oh, have you ever been to the Iron Rooster?" And he was like, "Oh my God, that's my favorite place." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's pretty neat. You're hearing about the story." And my parents are from Florida. We live in Florida, and my dad was wearing an Iron Rooster shirt one day in the elevator somewhere, and the lady said, "Oh my gosh, Iron Rooster!" And so I was like, "Wow, that's pretty far reaching at this point." So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. And I mean, it's also like you're located in a very tourist friendly area. So obviously like people are going to stay at a hotel and run around, look at, all the see the sights. But they're going to get hungry. Either they're going to wake up and be hungry and want, to fuel up for the rest of the day, or they're going to like midday dinner time be like I need something to eat.
Yeah.
And you don't always want dinner during dinner time. I frequently eat cereal, like a bowl of cereal for dinner, just because I'm like I don't feel like cooking.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's how the idea was sort of born, was people coming to me and saying, I really enjoyed breakfast for dinner. And I, to be honest with you, I'm not a big breakfast fan for myself. I don't really like eggs or pancakes or French toast. It's not my favorite food style. But I knew that I wasn't opening this for me. I knew that I was opening it for guests and for people to come in. And it's always kind of cool to see people eating pancakes for dinner,
yeah.
or ordering off the French toast, at dinner time. And we always wanted the idea to be, several people could come in at once and get something. You weren't kind of pigeonholed into one food style, whether it was barbecue or Italian or Mexican, where you're just like, well, I'm gonna have to try to find something. We thought, let's do something where it can be eclectic enough that a group of people can all get something different. And if you're in the mood for breakfast and I'm in the mood for dinner, we can still go out to eat and have a good time and not feel like, oh well, I kind of had to choose. You get to kind of decide, all right, well, this is what I want today, and this is what you want today, and kind of make it work.
Yes. And we unfortunately ran out of time because we were having so much fun. But where can people bring home the bacon at the Iron Rooster?
Well, so we're always making bacon. There's one for you. And you can find us obviously on social. We're at Iron Rooster all day on all of our social platforms. Iron Dash Rooster is our website. There you can find all of our menus. We offer a full menus for takeout, for delivery. We pivoted during the pandemic. We really never offered takeout or delivery prior to the pandemic, and really kind of pivoted during the pandemic to really open up that meal period for people. So yeah, we're all over social. We're always happy to see new people come through the door. Typically, we were giving away Roostarts for your birthday or for first time guests. So you can always come in. you can check on our flavors. We run usually typically 5 flavors a day of our famous Roostarts and we offer nationwide shipping on those Roostarts as well. So you can go to our website and we will pack one up or 5 and send them out to you across the USA.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for joining us on Food Farms and Chefs. And I hope to see you soon because you're driving
Yes.
distance for me.
Yes. Awesome. Amber, so it's a pleasure to meet you as well. Thanks for having me.
All right. And we will be right back after this short break. Hi, and welcome back to Food Farms and Chefs. I am so excited to introduce you to somebody who is making waves and going to make your summer vacation a little bit easier. Scott Noye, who is the owner of Chef's Dad's Table, is with us on Food Farms and Chefs. Scott, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
No problem. So, I'm going to go a little bit into your history because, you did learn and graduate with a culinary arts and management degree from Johnson and Wales. What was that like transitioning from, graduating into getting into the business world and into the restaurant scene?
Well, I'll tell you, the college curriculum was rigorous, but it was nothing like the real world education that I got. That was really where you learn and you put everything together. But it was great. It gave me a real life application, and everything that was learned in my academics, I could utilize and be productive.
Yeah. And so I know that you worked you pre-pandemic, you had worked at Widener as well as running a summer camp. So you're not a spring chicken when it comes to teaching and working within the culinary industry. But what was it like during that time during the pandemic, like for you, where you had to transition from working full time to being at home?
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't actually work that long during COVID because when COVID started, I lost my job at Widener University, and I also lost my job at the summer camp teaching culinary because the summer camp closed and Widener switched to online classes. So I lost both my jobs, and I quickly pivoted to getting an emergency teaching certification for state of Pennsylvania, and I became a substitute teacher. And even though the kids were homeschooled and learning in pods, I participated in the learning curriculum, and I immediately realized that what was missing from the students' education was all of the special curriculum that was taken away from them. They no longer had arts and crafts. They no longer had music. They no longer had physical education. All of that stuff was taken away, and everything was just academics, academics, academics. And rightfully so, because that's all that the schools could handle at that point in time when they had to switch over to the Zoom. So in the course of teaching, we incorporated, or I incorporated, arts and crafts and physical education and music. And one other thing that we incorporated was cooking. And we immediately realized that the students took to the cooking like nothing else. They loved it. And from that, we added in math to our cooking curriculum, and we added in science because when you're baking, there's all sorts of chemical reactions going on. When we're measuring and weighing, there's mathematic concepts going on there. When we're reading and writing recipes, there's language concepts there. And when we're studying other cultures and cuisines, that's history and geography. So we really put all that together, and that was the catalyst of what is now known as Chef Dad's Table.
And I mean, it's really important to like give you a nod because a lot of people during the pandemic were taking online cooking classes because they were looking for something to do. And you kind of saw a niche and a need, I should say, of that niche and, incorporated it into the world of education. And I don't know too many kids who aren't at Mom's Apron or dad's apron, wanting to, taste or put their hands in something. So it's kind of interesting that you were able to find that little bubble of inspiration and, grow it like a focaccia bubble, and like so that it so that it bakes and bakes evenly and comes out with fruit, a fruit of your labor. um so with all of that said, I know that you offer a variety, like different age groups get to learn at different levels, obviously. And I saw one of the interviews that you were in, and you read a book. I'm trying to find my notes. Oh, Give a Mouse a Cookie. You read Give a Mouse a Cookie, and then you teach them something. So what is it like, with the little ones, your youngest age group?
Yeah, primarily we break our classes down into 3 age groups: our toddlers, and then ages 5 through 10, and then 11 and up, and that usually goes to about age 13 or 14. With our youngest learners, our toddlers, we're certainly not going to get them into the kitchen. First of all, they can't even reach the countertop.
This is
So we
true.
use small tables and small chairs for them. And we reinforce what they're currently learning. We talk about colors, we talk about shapes, we talk about our senses, tasting and smelling and feeling and touching. And in your example, if we were to be reading them the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, at the end of the story, what do you think we're going to do? We're going to make cookie dough, and we're going to make chocolate chip cookies, and we're going to make them in the shapes of a circle, or we're going to roll them with our hands. We're going to touch and squeeze and feel. And that's what they're going to get out of it.
Which is good because, you need, it's engaging for them. It's, kind of like setting off all those sensory receptors in their brain. But then it's the added bonus of like, I made these cookies. Look, mom, you're not having a child who's bringing home artwork. You're having a child who's bringing you home cookies.
It's a big morale booster. It increases their confidence and their self-esteem. They learn to work in teams. They learn to share and build friendships and socialization. It's all of that.
Yeah. Now, since you do offer these classes like through age, you're saying, up to like about 14, do you see, your pods, I want to say, because I think that's what they're called. The different classrooms are called pods. Do you see them, graduating into the next age group?
Yeah, we call them kitchen labs.
Okay.
Classrooms and kitchen labs. We have a classroom and then we have a kitchen lab. And we've only been doing this for 2.5 years. So the only students that have moved up have been those that have aged out into the next group.
Okay.
And but what we do see is we have one child start, and then in a few weeks, a sibling, the parent calls and says, "Oh my gosh, my child has come home, talked about this, and their sister or brother wants to join also," because they can't stop talking about it, and they bring home all the food and they want to taste it. And that we do see happening. And we do see our families moving from maybe doing just an after school class once in a while to doing multiple classes or signing up for a week of summer camp.
And and I think it's also important because I saw on your site that you also accept intellectual and developmentally um disability
Yeah.
individuals as well. And I think that that's, key too, because one of the things that's super helpful for anybody who is growing up with a disability is to be able to have the hands-on experience, because you have, moved in from Zoom into the actual kitchen, as you said, in person. And for them to be able to actually see, taste, touch helps with their learning abilities as well.
Absolutely. We do work with primarily 2 groups. One is the Best Buddies, which is a national organization that almost every major city has. And there are chapters in a lot of the high school, middle schools and high schools. And what that does is pair up an individual that does have some type of disability with a able-bodied person and someone that can help them and partner with them. And we also work with an organization called Exceptional Tours, which does different types of outings and trips and tours and classes for adults that have physical and intellectual disabilities. We work with those two groups, and we try to incorporate our mainstream some of the students into our regular classes, and that's done through consultation with the families, and sometimes doing an interview and having them come and visit our class and see where they would fit best. But we do all of those things.
Which is extremely, like, I love the fact that you do that. Now we're going to move into, it is warm out. It's the summer. You know, parents are like, I have to go to work. What am I going to do? You offer classes Monday through, I believe, Thursday or Friday. Okay.
Monday through Thursday. Yes, we do. Our flexible is very, very scheduled. It's very, very flexible. We have half-day sessions, which are 9 to 12. We have full-day sessions, which are 9 to 3. And you can pick and choose. You can come one day, 1 week, one day, another week, a half a day, 1 week, a full day, 1 week. You can come a whole week, Monday through Thursday. And it's just based upon what's available on our schedule. We do have a calendar, and it shows you the availability that you can look at when you register.
So, you know, for parents that are, you know, listening out there, what would you typically, you know, offer for the students that are coming in to learn to cook and to learn, you know, because I know that you also offer like the history of cuisines and whatnot. And I saw like different programs that you offer. So walk us through some of the stuff that is offered during this camp.
Our summer camp is more of a generalized curriculum. It's not just based on learning how to cook. We teach life skills, and our students learn the life skills. Just because we teach them doesn't mean they pick it up and they learn it, but they do. And we can see that by the end of the day, by the end of the week, because you watch them and you see what they're doing. They're learning knife skills. They're learning about nutrition. They're learning safety and sanitation. They're learning about international cuisine and cultures. They're learning about food insecurity, which is becoming a big deal in our culture. This week, we're talking about fresh versus frozen. We have a garden on site that we maintain, and the kids come out and we work in the garden. We talk about different types of diets, vegan, vegetarian, halal, gluten-free, kosher. We talk about those different things. And then, of course, there is the cooking aspect of it. Absolutely.
So I saw like a quick video of you, you know, and you are so gentle and patient with the children. I believe you were like rolling. I'm actually not quite sure what it was that you were rolling, but it was it almost looked like cheese with some like a protein in there with veggies, but you were rolling it up. I think a lasagna roll up of some sort.
It was a potato, a beef and potato, a scallop beef and potato roll up. It's a layer of scallop potatoes, and then you put cheese on top of it, and then you put either the ground beef or the ground chicken, and then you gently roll it up like a jelly roll.
And I love I love the fact that you were like having each of the students, you know, take a turn at rolling the item. And, you know, one of the videos you stopped them and you were like, no, go wash your hands first. So I just thought that was so endearing. But
yes, I you know, all of our instructors try to keep our eyes everywhere and what the kids are doing, but you know, sanitation and safety is a very, very integral part of our curriculum. Absolutely.
And, you know, not only do they learn how to make sure that everything's safe to eat you also teach them, or, you know, try to teach them life skills of like, okay, we made all these messes, let's clean it up.
We do, yeah, they don't do a great job at it, but everybody has a job. And you are responsible for wiping down the table, using a push broom, helping us empty the trash, dry some dishes, because that's part of the responsibility and part of our team.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not trying to like nudge it towards anything, but I know that parents are gonna like hear that and be like, wait, they're learning how to clean up.
They aren't going to do it when they come home, trust me, but they know that it's part of our day.
But
Mhm.
it is integral to for them to learn that life skill too, because you know, it's obviously like a responsibility. And I'm sure that they're having fun too, while they're doing it. Even if it's
Absolutely.
cleanup, but like the cooking part of it. Now, do the students, do they get to take home some of the stuff that they make?
They can take home whatever they don't eat in class. Sometimes there's a lot to go home, and sometimes there's nothing to go home. But we do make extras, and we encourage every student to at least take a little taste. They don't have to swallow it, just taste it. They can spit it out, but we do encourage them to try something. And for the most part, when they're involved from the beginning process to the end, they're more likely to at least taste it
Yeah,
and have
yeah.
a favorable result. But absolutely, we do want our students to take home what they've made and show their family and be proud and explain to them what it is and what we did rather than how was camp today? Yep, fine.
Well, I mean, it's if they're bringing home the food, as long as it makes it all the way home. Um, I would think that that would be a big bragging right, for a student. Because I know if when I was little, I probably would have just been like, look what. I did." But I've always been a foodie, so uh, you're starting them out young, which is is an appropriate life skill because opening up those children's palates too, like so many, like there's so many people who as children they're not exposed to a variety of cuisines, and therefore they would they grow up and they don't know. And a lot of people who are older that haven't been exposed to those at different cultures and cuisines kind of myopically like remain in their lane and are afraid to taste and try. But you're
That's
kind
what
of
you grew up with. That's all you know.
yeah. And so you're kind of also opening up their eyes as far as, the world is concerned. Like there are so many options out there. So, what is it like what are some of the more popular items that kids have made, your students have made that kind of you saw like an expression change?
Well, I'll tell you, our all-time fan favorite for our younger classes is the edible chocolate chip cookie dough. But it comes with a huge amount of learning and knowledge because we teach them that in order to have edible chocolate chip cookie dough, we cannot have eggs
Yep.
and we have to cook our flour to a certain temperature in order for it to be safe to eat and not contain salmonella. That is our fan favorite and our most requested recipe. Almost every class wants to do it, even if it doesn't fit into the curriculum. They heard from somebody that we have to try it, so we do. Yes, but in our classes that we have during the school year, we have one class in particular, which sometimes it's called Around the World, sometimes it's called Let's Bake, depending upon what we're doing. And what we do is we learn about different cultures and cuisines around the world. We pick a region of the country, we pick a region of the world, we pick a particular area. We learn about the food of that area, what's native to them, what's not native to them. How did we learn about that food in America? How do we taste it here in America? How did it come to America? And then we pick a few things and we make something native to that area or that region.
Oh, I love that. I love that idea. And I love the fact that you really are exposing, everyone to something that is just beneficial all around. And but we unfortunately are actually out of time. So how can our listeners find you online and sign up their students to take one of your classes or take your whole summer program?
It's very easy. Our company name is Chef Dad's Table. Our website is chefdadstable.com. Our Facebook page is Chef Dad's Table, and our Instagram is Chef Dad's Table. You
All
can
right.
always reach me anytime. My name is Scott Noye. Am I allowed to give my phone number?
If you feel comfortable with it, go for it.
Sure. You can reach me. My phone number is 610-505-5617.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Scott, on Food Farms and Chefs.
Thanks very much for having me. I appreciate your time.
No
Take care
problem.
now. Bye-bye.
Bye.